Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Fusion X Succeed Festival Part 2 of this series, where I go over some non-loaner decks you can use, and also some um, replays if I get time for that. But first, I'll go through the missions. But before the missions, please like, share, and subscribe, and consider ringing the notification bell, either for regular content, personalized content. Regular personalized. Regular content. As in like all my content, all my regular content. Personalized content or none of my content if you're holding out for a new series, or if you're subscribed to me to be nice, but maybe you're still just holding out for a new series, one you would enjoy more, which I will do a post for those who don't watch this, like, because I know like most of you maybe aren't watching this if you don't enjoy this as much. Or maybe you're just selecting none and just watching videos on your own time. That's another thing you can do too. That's something I sometimes do with the videos I don't care as much about. I can like pick none and then just watch them on my own time, so I'm not annoyed by the bell, but then I can just still watch them. Because like, of course, if you pick that, it doesn't keep you out from watching them. It just doesn't notify you. And like, especially for series that like don't really change much or really matter when you watch them, like maybe like more of a TV show, like maybe some like puzzle type videos that ask you to like figure out a mystery or something, some kind of mystery. Those may not matter when you watch them. Um, or like maybe if you're like waiting to watch a movie, to watch a video based on that movie, that could be another thing, and those are kind of timeless as well. Doesn't really matter when you watch that too much. And then so yeah, stuff like so some examples there. And in order to select the bell for your proper thing, you select the bell and then you'll see the all, personalized, or none, and then you can select whichever one of those you want to do. All and personalized pretty much the same thing, unless you only watch a type of Master Duel video. Otherwise, it's pretty much all Master Duel anyway. Missions. Yeah, so I need to get done with the Fusion Summon, so I got a deck for that now. There are some other decks you can use, and I'll talk about like some of the decks that you can maybe use for Fusion Summoning that may be more budget, maybe a little less budget. And there's probably one best deck that you can use for Fusion Summoning. And then of course I got a few dailies, so that's good. I only have 2 there, so I'm making good progress with that. And then that were the missions, not the notifications. But maybe some people still want to watch those. So nothing really that new. I guess I didn't really talk about the secret pack yet. So this secret pack gives you access to a lot of Inzektors, a lot of B Troopers. Which I guess Inzektors are still pretty good in the Exceed Festival. But B Troopers are kind of too reliant on links to really be that great in this Fusion Exceed Festival. They were one of the best decks in the last festival, but not in this festival because like way too many links, and like if you remove the links, it's gonna be pretty weak, I would say. But you can definitely still do something with insects. You could still do level 3 insects utilizing Raid Raptors and some other like just naturally good level 3 insects. So yeah. One thing I did find out is that like if there's an effect that destroys your monsters during the end phase, and you use the effect of Leerlust, that one that protects your Leerlust monsters from being destroyed by battle or card effect until the end phase, they won't actually be destroyed um, by that effect that destroys something during the end phase. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that because I wasn't certain, because it says until the end phase. So I was thinking, like, will it expire before they get destroyed? I don't know, but I found out. So and they weren't destroyed, and my opponent just conceded. They were playing that insect OTK in the last festival, in the monster type festival, and so that was a nice discovery I saw. It might have been nice for my opponent too, because I'm not sure if my opponent knew, based on the fact that they just didn't concede right away. I'm glad they didn't, so I was able to see it for myself. Oh yeah, and I got the title literally right at the last second. Like I basically had to win the duel that I was in. It took me 2 turns instead of the normal 1, because I think I messed up on sequencing a little bit. But I still was able to win. Like, they were playing a Blackwing deck, which could be good, but they didn't have a very good hand, so I was able to easily get the win with attacking directly. And I also attacked their monster to make sure that they couldn't sync summon if they didn't get a better card in hand, which they didn't. So they were forced to set the Leerlust I gave them through the effect of Jack in the Hand, which wasn't good enough. Yeah, because I could, of course, attack directly with the Leerlust for anyone who knows about it. But I'll show you a little bit of Leerlust with these new replays, because I know I didn't show any of my decks in the last one, but I think I still have some replays of those with the last vessel, so you might see that. I'm not sure. I didn't save a replay of that one, so you won't see that, but you will see other replays with that, and also a few replays with the Leerlust and the Fusion Seed. And then a new structure deck, which is ninjas. I'm not sure if they're all insects though, so I don't know how good this would be yet. Okay, so there are a few warriors, so not sure how good this would have been in the Monster Type Festival. But I'm not sure how good it is outside of festivals. But I guess it's there in case you need something for a festival. Like, that's one nice thing about structure decks. Even if they're not going to be useful within the rank ladder, they could come in handy for a certain festival that maybe you don't have another deck for. Like, Cyber Dragon is probably useful in the Fusion Seed, because like they don't really need their links. It's not that important. And then there wasn't really a structure for Leerlust, but I don't know. I don't really know if there's a structure deck for the last one. It's pretty nice they got both Cyber Dragons and Cyber Dogs within the same structure, because they really do work well together. And then a new mate, if you're into that, the Hanzo mate. There's what he looks like. It's kind of his animation a little bit. I don't think I need to go into a shop. So you can read his little story if you want. Actually, I guess I'll read it. Legends speak of a ninja who excelled in the art of espionage, having trained countless days and nights to hone their skill. Their ninjutsu mastery was admired by countless other ninjas who aspired to be just as deft. So that's Hanzo. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. I think I showed off those already. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I found out for the gold duel pass, which I don't think I ever said anything about that. You need about 75, I think, wins it is. So you have like 90 days, and you need only 75 wins to get to the 100. So as long as you can get a win a day, like, that'll be good enough. I'm not sure how many duels it would be if you lose a few of those, but I know for wins you need 75. Maybe I can find out more and get back to you, but at least now you know how many wins it is, so pretty easy though. Especially if you're like active in the festival, you should be getting a lot of wins through there, just trying to get to like maybe 3,500 or 11,000, whichever. Whether you want to get the mate or go for all the gem rewards, like you have to go to 6,000 for the gem rewards. So that alone would be, I mean, every 1,000 is 2 wins. So 2,000 is gonna be 4, 3,000 is gonna be 6, 4,000 is gonna be 8. So over 10 wins right there. And so with 2 festivals, that'd be like 20, over 20 wins. So that would get you like quite a bit of the ways there already. Maybe close, like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that should get you quite far. And then let's go for the replays. Or I guess I'll show off the decks first that I used. Might as well. So here's the deck that I'm currently going with since I'm done with the Exceed. So here's the Fusion Exceed. This is kind of combined both, though I am doing a lot more fusion summoning. So you could technically use this deck for both, but you might want to do a different deck for Exceed because I think it's much easier to find a deck that you can do the Exceed summoning with. You could also just use the lone decks for the fusion and or Exceed summoning as well. Or use a deck that just does a lot of one or the other if you can find one like that and then don't care about winning. You could also do it that way. Anyway, this is what I decided to go with for fusion summoning. To finish off the fusion summoning mission. This is pretty nice since a lot of the SRs and even some of the URs are available through the structure deck, through the Cyber Dragon and Cyber Dark structure deck, whatever that's called. Yeah, what is it called? It's called Cybernetic Successor. I still have the pack open. Yeah, that's what I did to get a few of the cards that I didn't have that weren't available from the structure deck. There are a few cards that you might want to get, that you might want to consider getting that aren't available through the structure deck. Such as maybe the Infinity, though I guess it's not that important. Though you kind of are losing a negation factor going into the Exceeds. All you need is 2 level 5s. Cyber Eternal Dragon is kind of important. This is probably one of the better ones to go for that aren't available through the structure deck. Because it's kind of nice, especially if you don't have the Infinity. Like, it's pretty nice that, like, you still get, even if you cheat out through like something like Nova being destroyed or even distributed to Nibiru, you have this as a backup. And then it makes it so that it can't be destroyed by card effects or target, which is actually kind of nice, which can actually be kind of useful. I play against a Fluffle and was pretty useful against them. Like, they Nibiru'd me, but luckily I had Nova, so I could go into this, and so they couldn't OTK me because they couldn't target with one of the monsters that just simply sends, and they couldn't destroy with a few of the other monsters that doesn't target. So that was able to protect myself from both forms. I wasn't gonna be able to get the destroy because it wasn't fusion summoned properly, but that's okay. All I really needed was that protection. All you need for that is a machine fusion monster in your graveyard. So it's not gonna work if you have like Natis, but basically any other fusion will help you out with that. And then Natis isn't really needed. You could just replace it with something else. Like, Natis is pretty nice though when you have one of your Cyberdogs equipped with equipped with this guy, because this can like send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. And if your opponent maybe has an annoying monster that can't be destroyed about, you can like this can work as backup to be able to send this and destroy whatever that annoying monster is, assuming that can be destroyed by card effects and just not by battle. So it's good for instances like that. Also, you could technically send to the graveyard if your opponent has a really annoying monster they just want to get rid of through an effect like Cybernetic Horizon, so you don't have to use up the battle phase for it. Although you might just want to send the Cyber N instead, which is another monster you get from the structure deck, to go into Cyber Darkness, which I think is another... Oh wait, no, the Cyber Darkness into the Cyberdark and Dragon play, which both I think are available through the structure deck. Yep. So yeah, basically with this, you go into this first. Once you have like 5, this can be made even easier by like getting the power bond with this. So you can use monsters from the graveyard as well. And then once you have 5 total, you can go into this guy. Assuming you have Cyber N, you equip it to a Cyber N, and then go with Cyber Dark. You do lose a negate, but you do gain unaffected by opponent's card effects, activated effects, which is pretty nice. And also multi-attacker, which I guess is kind of nice too. You also get to equip one monster from either graveyard, which is kind of nice if your opponent needs a certain monster in the graveyard. Could be useful for that. It's monster though, so not just any card. And then Heartbeats is there to clear the way if you're going for an OTK, since this is also pretty good at OTKs. I think if you have the choice, you'd probably want to go second with this deck, kind of like the Leolusk. This is also another OTK style deck. So it's nice using OTK style decks. You may not be getting as many fusion summons, but at least you're able to get a few and still maybe get a win really quick. And with the amount of time they give you to do the fusion summoning, I don't think it matters if I'm only getting like maybe 1 or 2 a duel. If I'm winning quick, like that's pretty nice. And then, so yeah, for a deck that you want to fusion summon a lot for, though, this might not be the best deck, since it might only get like 1 or 2 proper fusion summons a duel, since the ones that you just contact into don't really, I don't believe they should count. And then Monster Reborn, I don't really know exactly what that's useful for. I guess if you want to like utilize an effect you haven't utilized yet, or maybe if you just need 1 more level 5 to go into your Infinity Negate, you could also do that. You could also use this to grab back the Infinity if you have, if an opponent left a monster in attack that you can steal with this, because at least then it can steal that and it will at least have 1 material. Yeah, and then these should be pretty easy to have too. And then a few like other budget replacements you can like you take out for Galaxy Soldier. He is kind of nice since he can basically just add another copy of himself, as long as you have like 2 total monsters, or like if the monster you sent with hers to add another monster anyway. There's a lot of ways to easily be able to like send 2, so you can like have 2 of these guys. If you have 2 Galaxy Soldier, you could just pretty easily go into the Nova Infinity play. And it's pretty easy, and all you need to start out with is 1, so he's pretty much guaranteed going into eventually Infinity play. yeah, so he is pretty nice, but you can technically take him out for budget replacements, maybe adding in a few more chimeras since you got those from the Cybernetic successor anyway, structure deck. Maybe a few more hers, replacing a few cards for hers. Jizukiya is only a rare, so that shouldn't be a problem crafting. He's pretty nice to get over a monster that like is gonna ruin your day with all of its negates or something. Or maybe has a really annoying quick effect. Like that like disrupts you. Machine duplication is also another way to easily go into the infinity play, or give yourself a few extra Cyber Dragons using basically any of your smaller Cyber Dragon guys, since a lot of them change their names to Cyber Dragon. That's basically what that's used for. And if you get rid of that, like it'll be a little bit hard to go into infinity, but I mean, if you do, you could always just like put in more Naxter and hers or whatnot. But yeah, and then Limner removal. It's nice that a few of these are found in the same secret pack, like Dragonoid and Limner removal are both found in the Void Nexus. The machine duplication is also found in the Void Nexus, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, you can like get rid of removal for like other Cyber Dragon cyber stuff too if you want. A few cards you could also add if you had them are Clockwork Knight. I'm not sure how new this card is. So there's Clockwork Knight. It's only a rare, so you could technically also replace that for maybe like limit removal, something like that. I think you really only need one. I'm not sure how many you want, but maybe you could just have a few copies if you're trying to like do budget replacements on a few cards. Another card that you could add, either for, I mean, I'm not sure if budget purposes, but just because it's not bad. It is a fairly recent card, but if you were opening the packs that have it in Unity, maybe you have a few copies. You could use Duality. It's nice that it's a quick play, so you can use this during your opponent's turn to disrupt them, or just going for an OTK, and then you get to like tribute one of your monsters for another monster for that little bit of extra damage to get the win. And then Natis, once again, you could just, I mean, you do get rid of the, do make it a little bit hard on yourself if your opponent has a monster that can't be destroyed by battle. It does make it a little bit harder to maybe get a win through that, since you do actually need to, since these don't have like just natural like direct attacking like the Layla, so you need to kind of worry about the monsters a little bit. I mean, I guess you could just run some other monster removal in terms of like spells or traps, like or spells like Raigeki isn't bad, Lightning Storm, stuff like that. And then those are available through bundles or solo mode means, so those aren't as hard, but yeah, this is pretty nice since it's always available in the X deck, while the Lightning Storm and Raigeki you actually have to like find, and you don't have any way to search for them, so you're not always guaranteed them, like unlike this card. And this is pretty nice since it destroys any card, I guess. But yeah, you could just replace it with like some of the Cyber Dragons and just maybe put like a little bit more monster removal in the main deck. But yeah, I think like Rampage is kinda important since this both acts as back row removal and it can give you up to 3 attacks, which is actually pretty nice. So I think this one's actually kind of important. But luckily a lot of the Cyber Dragon stuff that you would still need, like the Chimera Tech and the Cyber Eternity and the Cyber Dragon Infinity. They're all available in the same secret pack, which is the Pearlescent Cyber Dragons. Yeah, I think this one might be kind of important. You could technically just replace it for the Cyber Dragons found in the structure deck, but I think it is kind of a good card because it also helps clear up back row at the same time. And maybe you could just play like Lightning Storm because if you're not playing this, because it also helps with monster removal at the same time, assuming your opponent has a lot of attack position monsters. And then what's another one? Chimera Tech Mega Fleet. This is helpful. I found this is actually extremely helpful because for some reason a lot of my opponents, at least yesterday, a lot of my opponents when I was playing this deck, or I think throughout the festival, like as I was getting the win, I was finding quite a few of my opponents were actually placing the monsters in the X deck zone. For whatever reason, even though they didn't need to. And so this actually really helps. Like you would think like maybe it's not as good as in a Link Fusion Festival, because why would they place them in the Extra Monster Zone? I mean, you could technically use the monster from your Extra Monster Zone, but I'm not sure if that's as good. But yeah, I was actually finding like a lot of people like are kind of messing up by placing them in Extra Monster Zone. I'm not sure like what good that really does. And so I was easily able to get rid of that monster for the Mega Fleet. So this kind of acts as another Kaiju if they do that sort of thing, but a Kaiju that's basically always available to me. So yeah, this is a pretty nice card to have, especially like if people are just messing up for you like that as well. It's pretty nice. Since like all you really have to do is put down one of your monsters, even one of your lower level monsters, and then go into that, get rid of whatever the prom monster is in the Exit Monster Zone, which is going to be an X deck monster, either Exceed or Fusion, and then you can get rid of that before it poses a really big threat. So that's pretty nice. And then Cyber Eternity, I would say, is pretty important, though I guess technically you could just replace it with a few more fusions, though you might not have. I mean, if you get rid of both the Eternity and the Infinity, you might have a little bit of trouble when it comes to going first. You could always you could still just end on the End Dragon though, because like you still have access to the End Dragon through the structure, so it won't be a total loss if you get rid of both, but you might not always be as guaranteed to get into the End Dragon as you are to get into the Infinity of the Eternity Dragon. This is definitely a lot harder, because you need a way to fusion summon, and then you need enough monsters in the graveyard, and you also need to think about that Cyber End Dragon too in the graveyard. But at least if you only end on this, that's not too bad either, because you still have a negate with this guy. So, and that might actually be better. I don't know. Is it better to end on this if you're going first, or the End Dragon? I guess you guys can let me know. I still think maybe it's better to end on this, because your opponent could bait out a negate, but being unaffected by basically everything is kind of nice. And the kind of outs that they can have for End Dragon, they can also have for this one. Like Kaijus will basically end your day with either one of these. And then especially if you like end on like one of these, plus a Cyberdark Invasion could be pretty nice too. Maybe like Cyberdark Invasion plus. The thing about Cyberdark Invasion plus this, if this only had one equipped to it, and you get rid of it with the Cyberdark Invasion, you'll no longer have a negate. And you have to get rid of the equip for either the negate or the destruction. But at least with the Cyberdark End Dragon, if you get rid of the equip, it'll still be unaffected by everything. Well, by basically everything. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I did get pretty lucky as I was opening packs, getting a few holos of some of the super rares, like the Cyberdark Cannon, pretty nice. And then a few holos for like the Cyber Darkness Dragon. Kind of cool. Not too many holos for the SRs and above, but a few, so that's always pretty nice. Oh yeah, and I did get a few royal finishes as I was opening packs. Not really of anything that I could use here, but maybe coming here in the future. And I think a few of them were like slightly meta relevant cards too. Forget exactly what they were. Anyway, there's the Cyber Dragon deck. And then I'll go through the other one. Hopefully I still have it. It's basically what I was using to finish off the last festival. So it's pretty similar to... It's pretty similar to this one, though there were a few changes. A few pretty big changes. Yeah, so pretty similar, although there were a few pretty big changes. Anyway, this was the deck that I was using to finish off King of the Island because they were getting me some pretty quick wins, especially considering that there was like lower power and my opponent wasn't interrupting me as much, so I was... And if my opponent had annoying monsters, I could just direct attack right through them, so it didn't even matter too much. And it's also pretty nice because then you could just always save your Lightning Storm for back row removal. Anyway, so a few changes I made for the Exceed Fusion Festival, and this is a good one to get done the Exceed with, because you are at least going through cycling through 2 Exceeds a game. At least 2 pretty much every time. Maybe 1 at the least, but at least 1 every time, but usually it's 2. So yeah, that's pretty nice, especially considering that you can get pretty quick wins with this deck also. So anyway, I guess technically a few budget alternatives you can do. Like, I guess you could technically just run 1 bird call if you really wanted to. But you do have access to 3 bird calls in the new event in the Fusion Seed Festival. So I'm running 3 just because I already had 3. But you could technically just run 1 and it should still be okay, and just run more Jack in the Hands and more Wear Off Thous. Another thing you could do if you had it, you could take out some card for there can be on, or no, the one that gets rid of a monster from your hand to special summon a level 1 from your deck. You could also run that for a little bit more consistency. It's not that important though. And then just get rid of maybe like, maybe you could get rid of like Lightning Storms, since I don't know, like I mean, you could probably just run 1 Lightning Storm if you really wanted to, but I'm not sure how hard it is to get 2. But yeah, that's not really a budget substitution, but I mean, I guess if you didn't have 2 Lightning Storms, you could always take out 1 for like maybe another slower swallow or something. Another thing you can do for this new event, if you're planning to like add in a few cards like Zeus and the Utopic package. Utopic package being what? Why can't I find? Oh, the Utopic package being. I need to show you here. Yeah, the Utopic package being the Utopic Future plus Utopic Draco Future. One nice thing is that these are both found in the same secret pack if you are going for this. You basically go into Utopic and then you just rank on top of the Utopic Future. This one to negate stuff, and you also gain control of stuff, which I'm not sure how much better it is with like either one of those packages, because like the downside of going into those is that you do kind of like make it so that you have to restart on the Leerlusk plays later on, but you do gain a bit more like protection, so I'm not sure if the trade-off is worth it or not. But yeah, if you're going for the Zeus, you probably also want the Downard. But like they're not that important. You could just basically run it with a bunch of like random rank 1s and then only focus on going for the better Leerlusk stuff. Leerlusk plays. A few cards I do want to play that are higher rarity though. Like the Celestine is kind of important because it helps you with your OTK plan. But though you could technically just run one, so it helps a little bit with that CP. Yeah, if you're getting rid of a few of these equips, you basically only want to get rid of these equips if you can actually go first and handle it. Like if you do have the Zeus and Utopic package, mostly if you have the Utopic package, then you can go into Zeus first turn. If you're probably, if you're more or less playing it the same as you were in the monster type though, like you could probably just still keep the equips and that's basically budget. Or you could go with like a few more hand traps like Ash Blossom, since you can use Ash Blossom in the new one. Infinite Impermanence. But like I think that's like only if you like are playing the Utopic. I mean, I guess you could technically still do that even if you want. But then you do lose a little bit of the OTK consistency, sort of. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. Bird Sanctuary is still fine at 1. This basically just helps give Assemble Nightingale a little bit more OTK potential. And also it's pretty nice going to Assemble Nightingale and then going to Recital Starling if you can afford it. Giving Assembled a little bit extra attack from the Recital, and then like giving it a few extra attack and attacks during the battle phase by putting the Recital and all its materials under the Assemble Nightingale with the Bird Sanctuary. And then Swallow's Nest is, you could decide whether you want to use it or not. You could always use replace this with like the 1-for-1. That's what it was. If you want, you could also take down like one of the slowest Swallow to put in next to Celestine Wagtail. I'm not sure if you're actually able to play 3 copies of Cobalt, but you could also do that as well. And that's a pretty easy one since that's only a normal. You don't technically have to play DD Crow, though it is nice for a little bit extra removal options if your opponent's using the graveyard. And then a few cards that aren't even really needed, just there to like fill in. Gold Rat. It's probably nice they have like a few fillers just to not let your opponent get on that like maybe you're playing the Leerlusk package. you kind of want to fill your deck with whatever if you don't have everything. Like Gold Rat, you could just use, like, if you're just like planning to have filler. Can't use the links, so you could just replace that with like a bunch of like random exceeds if you really wanted. The important cards are gonna be Recital Starling. Sometimes it's kind of nice to have 2 of these, just because it's like effect to give something extra attack and offense isn't once per turn, isn't a hard once per turn. So if you bring 2 of these out, you could essentially just double the amount of attack you're giving to Nightingale. The defense thing doesn't really matter too much. The attack is what you're looking for. So yeah, you can basically double it, which can be helpful. And then assemble Nightingale. I don't really see why you need 2. You could technically make it through with just 1, because normally only going for 1 plus maybe a recital afterwards, and that's generally enough once you put the recital under the assemble Nightingale. So yeah, it's pretty nice that like helps protect your Leerless with its effect. But yeah, you really only need 1 of those, but you do want 1 of those. Is kind of important. You probably want at least 1 of the Recital Starlings as well. And then Kiku Nagashi Fucho is pretty nice, especially with the whole Zeus play, though you could also just use the Assemble Nightingale to go into Zeus. But this is only rare anyway, so who cares? Could always add more, like if you need to put just filler if you're not planning to go for like Zeus package or Utopic package, which I'm not sure if that's necessarily better or worse for it. Assembleu, I barely ever go into this. This is probably the least important of the Leerless, so you probably don't need to run this. You could probably take it out if you didn't have it. It's not that important. But I guess it is kind of nice if you're going first, maybe as a way to like, since there's probably gonna be a lot of special summoning, so I guess like just a little bit of interruption. And then Promenade. This is probably pretty important as well, especially considering that it's not a hard once per turn either, which might mean you might want to play extra copies of the Promenade. Which I do have extras of her. But yeah, since she's not a hard once per turn, you could technically go into her more than once to get rid of multiple back row, which is kind of nice. But like really only need to go into her if you actually see back row. Otherwise, it's better to just go into the Starling Assemble Nightingale, especially if you can go into the Nightingale first and then Starling. Also, Starling is pretty nice if you didn't have a very good hand and just need that search. Yeah, so you really only need 1 of her though, I would say. Maybe it gets a little bit better if you have more than 1, but like at least 1. Like really the only reason you bring her out is for the shuffling back a Spello Trap. That's it. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, and you basically don't need to even play the fusions. Like, that one lone deck was showing a few of the fusions. But yeah, you really only need to focus on the Exceed. You could technically play the fusions, though, and then basically just make the Leerless also another, maybe, like, one you could go for fusions with. Though, I'm not sure how easy it is to fuse with the deck anyway. I'm not sure if they have any searchable fusion spells. Guess I could see. Oh yeah, and you don't need to run this one either. Because that generally a searching is being taken out on mostly the Bird Sanctuary. And then if you had a bird call, like you're still probably going for Bird Sanctuary. Because you really only want to run one of this just so it's not brick. Yeah. So I guess technically you could run multiple copies of this. and maybe like one of the bird strike. And then you could just search for the bird strike to negate everything. But then you already have to commit a few plays in order to get to search for the bird strike. So there's also that. Like, you could technically just bait out negates, like, if you didn't really need the jack in the hand or the war off without search. And, like, even just bait a few back row negates by using the Lightning Storm, and maybe they have to activate some of their back row before it's destroyed, or they have a Solemn Judgment they have to waste it on because the other back row is kind of important. Anyway. Oh yeah, and then a few pros about this deck is, like, even if your opponent has a few indestructible by battle or card effect monsters, like, that doesn't matter since you can just attack directly for game. So that's pretty nice. If maybe there's like a downside to attack monsters, it doesn't matter because you're just attacking directly. And also another thing is this helps you protect you against other OTK strategies, since this not only helps protect your Leolus from destruction by battle or card effects, but also protects them from battle damage as well. And another thing you can technically do is if your opponent has a high enough attack monster, or maybe you can't necessarily do the whole Nightingale and then put the Recital under it because maybe for some reason you couldn't get to this card. If your opponent has a high enough attack monster, it might be okay because, like, just keep this at 0 attack or a very low attack. Use the effect of Assemble Nightingale. Hopefully you move like something like the Celestine and put it back on. And then you don't take any battle damage, but your opponent still does. So your opponent takes that battle damage. I guess it doesn't really matter too much as long as you don't die due to that battle damage. Like, inflict a lot of battle damage to them through the effect of Starling. And then Assemble Nightingale can maybe just go in for game with the direct attacks. And of course it's going to be a little bit easier to OTK with the equips, but then you lose some extra negations, but that might be okay. This is a little bit hard of an event though, so you might want the extra negations. You might want the Ash Blossom and the Infinite Perm and stuff like that. Though it might still be okay if you didn't. And then anything else? Any other pros to this? Of course there are decks that can do both Exceed and Fusion, so I'm not sure how many of them there are. Though you could probably find a deck like that too if you wanted to. Slower Swallow is actually is also kind of nice in case you can't OTK and then just want to tribute this to draw 2 cards. Maybe like maybe you really need those 2 cards and hopefully you survive long enough to get to them. If you did have a very good hand, maybe you had Slower Swallow so that like now you have like double the chance to get like the cards you need for the OTK later on. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and I guess another useful thing is this helps protect against stuff like the Mirror Jade the Mirror Jade thing. Like if you destroy their Mirror Jade somehow, you could technically protect yourself from the end phase destruction with the Leolus. So it does help protect against some stuff that like that could be annoying with the destruction. And also you like if you have a good enough hand, you could technically get out of like lots of like disruption from your opponent and still like be able to have enough for the OTK if you had a good enough hand. Because you do have quite a few things that can like special summon, and maybe a few backup plans. Like maybe if they got rid of your board, you still have the Turquoise Warbler, so you still go for that. Though do remember a lot of these are hard ones per turn, so once you do them, you can't do them again. Even if you like put them on. Though I don't think when they become material, I don't think that's a hard once per turn. So if you use them again as material, you'll be able to get that effect again, I believe. So yeah, I think that's basically about it. Yeah, I spent quite a bit, so I think I'll just have to show off the replays next time. I did just want to go in kind of detail of the decks. A few other quick suggestions you can do are the level 3 insects. You could utilize the what are they called? Hold on. The digital bugs with a few other level 3 insects, since they kind of just work with any insects. So you could just find a bunch of level 3 insects alongside the digital bugs to use to go into your rank 3 digital plays, and then you can just rank up on top of the other digital bugs. You could do that, and then that'll, I believe that should count for a bunch of Exceed plays. You could also go with Zodiac, since they'll help you get through the Exceed plays pretty fast if you wanted to get through them a little faster. A few, I think, yeah, a really good fusion deck that is not only strong but also can do a lot of fusion plays but is pretty expensive, would be Branded Despia. It's a good one for the fusion. I don't know of a more budget fusion deck. Maybe Fluffles are kind of budget, though the Cyber Dragons are kind of budget, and you could technically make it more budget, especially if you were only planning to do the fusion plays. You could probably just buy 3 and then easily do the fusion plays, but then you're spending 1,500 gems for that. But that might be the best bet you have. Yeah, that might be the best bet you have there. I'm not sure if other budget fusion decks there are, but maybe other people can let others know down in the comments. I don't really have much time for anything. Maybe if there's a quick pack opening I can do, if there's any free. Yeah, I do have this. So I'll quickly go through one pull here. Technically, you could use I mean, I guess maybe you could use the Beat Troopers secret pack to go into a few fusions. You're probably not winning very much since you only have access to fusions. But you can also get the Inzektas as well for the Exceeds. That's another thing you could use for Exceed summoning. That's probably not as budget, but at least you have access to the secret pack. So here's the animations if you want to. Oh yeah, and I did get a few of my controllers recently fixed through one of the people who helped me with that. I don't know how fixed my the PlayStation controller that I got through a flea market is. It still kind of acts up with the headset, so I'm still using my primary PlayStation controller for that. I'm not sure how well it holds a charge, so I'm gonna have to test it out a little bit more, and I can let you know details for that. But my Xbox controller, my primary Xbox controller that I got with system, seems to be working really well, so that's nice. It was acting up, freezing a little bit on me with one of my games. Not noticing a lot of drifting, I'm not sure. But yeah, the freezing was kind of annoying, and then also one of the buttons was pretty sensitive too. But that all seems to have been cleared up, so that's nice. Oh yeah, and I also got a new subscriber, so if you want me to shout you out in a later video, you can feel free to let me know down in the comment. Otherwise, maybe you can just let people know you subscribe if you really wanted to. It doesn't matter too much. Doesn't matter if you do or not do that. Oh yeah, and also thank you everyone who stayed for the decks. I'll show off the replays in the next video. And I hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and I'll be hopefully within the next few days I'll have at least the verse up, and the comments up, like the verse discussion as well as the self-promotion comment. And then I can always like do the timestamps. I'm not sure when, but at some point I'm gonna have to catch up with those as well. Anyway, bye everyone.